On a quiet Christmas morning in the mountains of Minas Gerais, a young woman named Clara discovers an old man weeping alone at the back of the church. Her decision to speak to him seems like a simple act of kindness, but before the day ends, a forgotten family chest filled with old photographs and a mysterious letter will turn her world upside down. What began as a gesture of compassion will soon uncover secrets, regrets, and an unexpected destiny. The first light of dawn painted the hills of Minas Gerais in gold as the church bells echoed softly through the valley. Inside, Clara knelt alone, whispering a quiet prayer. Life hadn't been easy since she lost her job at the textile factory. Still, she prayed for peace, strength, and the courage to keep believing in goodness. Her hands trembled slightly as she crossed herself and stood, her worn coat brushing against the cold stone floor. Outside, the streets shimmered with holiday lights. Children ran past with laughter that reminded her of simpler times, of her grandmother, Vô Maria, whose voice always said, "Even when life turns bitter, keep your heart sweet." Clara smiled faintly, remembering how Vô Maria used to bake bread for the whole neighborhood, even when flour was scarce. Clara had promised herself one small treat that Christmas morning, a meal at her favorite local restaurant. She had saved every coin, skipping coffee, stretching every real she could spare. That meal meant peace, a moment of joy. Yet, as she stepped out of the church, fate intervened. In a shaded corner, an elderly man, frail and alone, sat with his face buried in his hands. His shoulders quivered as if carrying invisible weight. Something in his stillness stopped Clara mid-step. The joy she had clung to all week faded into quiet concern. She hesitated, heart pounding, then approached softly. "Sir, are you all right?" she asked. The man looked up, startled. His eyes were red, the pain of years reflected within them. "It's nothing," he whispered. "Just memories." Clara sat beside him. "Sometimes memories need company," she said gently. For a moment, he said nothing. Then, in a broken voice, he confessed, "I went to see my family this morning. My son, my grandson, they turned me away." Tears welled again as his gaze fell to the ground. The man's name was Nicolas, and his story unfolded slowly, each word trembling with sorrow. He had traveled for hours hoping to spend Christmas with his family, but the door had closed in his face. Clara felt a sting in her chest, a pain that wasn't hers, yet she carried it as if it were. She looked at him with quiet resolve. "Wait here," she said softly. "I'll be back." Leaving the church, she entered a small shop nearby. The bells over the door jingled as she stepped inside, her fingers brushing the few bills in her pocket. She bought a cup of hot coffee, a sweet pastry, and a Christmas card. On the card, she wrote, "You are not forgotten. May this Christmas remind you that kindness still exists." As she paid, her savings vanished. The meal she had dreamed of all month was gone, but Clara didn't feel regret. When she returned, Nicolas was still there, his posture weary, eyes lost. She handed him the coffee, the pastry, and the card. "You came back," he whispered, his voice breaking. "Of course," she replied, smiling faintly. "No one should be alone today." He opened the card, his eyes filling with tears. "It's been so long," he murmured. "So long since anyone cared." That afternoon, Clara did something she never planned. She invited him to her home. Her small, humble apartment carried the warmth of effort, a tiny tree, flickering lights, and the scent of cinnamon tea. As Nicolas stepped inside, he noticed a wooden chest tucked beneath the old table. Its corners were worn, its brass lock tarnished. "What's that?" he asked. Clara smiled wistfully. "That was my grandmother's. It's full of old family photographs, and letters I've never had the courage to read." Nicolas gazed at the chest as if recognizing it. A strange sadness flickered in his eyes, something unspoken, deep and heavy. And in that moment, the air between them changed. The quiet Christmas evening had just become the beginning of a story neither of them could have foreseen. As the night deepened over the quiet hills of Minas Gerais, the soft glow of Clara's small Christmas tree danced across the worn furniture. Nicolas sat by the fireless hearth, the cup of tea trembling slightly in his frail hands. His gaze drifted once again toward the wooden chest, its old hinges catching the dim light like eyes that had seen too much. Clara noticed his fixed stare. "It's been there since Vô Maria passed," she said gently. "She told me once that inside was our family's story, and that one day I'd be ready to open it." She hesitated, her fingers brushing the chest's surface as though it were sacred. "But I never did. I was afraid of what I might find." Nicolas leaned forward, his voice almost a whisper. "Sometimes the past holds answers we didn't know we were looking for." There was something in his tone, a blend of longing and grief, that sent a shiver through her. The air between them grew still. Clara kneeled and carefully turned the key that had hung for years on a string near her grandmother's portrait. The lock creaked open, releasing the faint scent of cedar and thyme. Inside, layers of old black and white photographs rested neatly in envelopes. Faces of miners, farmers, children laughing under the golden sun of Minas. Beneath them, folded carefully in yellowed paper, lay a letter addressed in delicate handwriting, to the one who will open this chest when the time is right. Clara's hands trembled as she lifted it. The ink was faded but readable. She glanced at Nicolas, whose expression had turned pale, almost haunted. "Do you want me to read it aloud?" she asked. He nodded silently. Her voice quivered as she began. "If you are reading this, it means the circle of kindness has returned home. Forgive the mistakes of those who came before you. The pain we cause others sometimes echoes for generations, but love, when offered freely, can heal what time could not."
Clara paused.
Nicolas's eyes glistened as a tear rolled down his cheek. His trembling fingers reached toward a photograph near the bottom of the chest. He lifted it slowly, and his breath caught. It was a picture of a young woman holding a baby in front of the same church where they had met that morning. And on the back, written in fading ink, was a single name, Maria Fernandez.
Clara froze.
"That's my grandmother." Nicolas's hand shook violently as he whispered, "And the baby, that's me." Silence filled the room, thick as the fog outside. The only sound was the faint ticking of the wall clock. Clara stared at Nicolas, her heartbeat quickening. "That can't be," she murmured, but deep inside, something in her heart already believed it. Nicolas's gaze remained fixed on the photograph, his voice trembling as he spoke. "Your grandmother was my sister." Clara's breath left her in a gasp. Her mind raced through the fragments of family stories Maria had once told her, about a brother who had left home after a terrible argument, a man never spoken of again. "She said you'd gone to Sao Paulo, and never came back," Clara whispered. Nicolas nodded, eyes filled with regret. "I was young, angry. I thought she'd forgotten me, but I never stopped thinking about her. I built a life far away, but the distance between us was more than miles, it was guilt." His voice broke as he continued. "When I lost my wife last year, I wanted to come back, to find what little family I had left. I didn't know she was gone, until I met you today." Clara felt her throat tighten, her eyes burning with emotion. All the moments of that day, the church, the coffee, the kindness, suddenly intertwined into something bigger than chance. She opened the letter again, and her eyes moved to the last lines. "If ever two souls from our family meet as strangers, may they see in each other the light that time tried to hide. Forgiveness is not forgetting, it is remembering with peace." Tears blurred Clara's vision as she read. Nicolas reached out, his weathered hand trembling as it rested over hers. "I thought I'd come to that church because I was lost," he said softly. "But maybe I was meant to find you." Clara smiled through her tears, her voice shaking. Then maybe Maria knew. Maybe this was her gift all along. Outside, church bells began to ring again, their echo filling the night. The sound carried through the valley like a promise, that the pain of yesterday could indeed give birth to healing today. And for the first time in many years, both Clara and Nicolas felt that Christmas was no longer about loneliness or loss, but about coming home. The morning mist curled through the streets of Minas Gerais as Clara brewed coffee on her small stove, her thoughts tangled between disbelief and wonder. The chest lay open on the table, photographs scattered like whispers of forgotten time. Nicolas sat across from her, his expression distant, eyes tracing every image as if searching for fragments of the years he had lost. "I left this land because of pride," he confessed, voice low. "Your grandmother begged me to stay. We fought over something foolish, a piece of land, money, I can't even remember now. I told her I never wanted to see her again, and I meant it. But the moment I stepped onto that bus, I felt the emptiness grow." Clara watched him carefully, her heart aching for both of them. "She never stopped hoping you'd come back," she said softly. Even in her final days, she'd look toward the road whenever someone passed by, thinking maybe it was you. Nicolas's hands trembled as he pressed them against his face. "I was too ashamed. I sent letters once, but when they went unanswered, I thought she'd truly erased me from her life." Clara hesitated before whispering, Maria couldn't read or write well. She may have never understood your words, or even known they were from you." The realization struck Nicolas like thunder. He lowered his hands slowly, eyes wide with the weight of decades lost to misunderstanding. "All those years," he muttered. "All those years wasted because I didn't come back." Clara reached across the table, her fingers gently brushing his. "Maybe you did come back, just in time. You're here now, and I think she wanted that." He met her gaze, the lines on his face softening. You're so much like her, he said.
The same heart.
The same stubborn kindness. Clara smiled faintly, tears brimming. Maybe that's what she left me, her faith in people. Nicolas looked at the chest again.
And she left this, he murmured.
A chance to set things right. The morning sun broke through the window, touching the photographs with a golden glow. In that light, the past no longer seemed like a chain, but a bridge. By afternoon, the small apartment was alive with warmth. Clara had invited the neighbors over, filling the space with laughter and music. The aroma of roasted vegetables and fresh pão de queijo filled the air, mingling with the soft glow of the Christmas lights. It wasn't luxury, it was love made visible. Nicolas sat near the window, the family chest resting beside him. He held one of the photographs, a picture of young Vô Maria smiling in front of the old farm. She'd be proud of you, he said, his voice steady now, filled with quiet strength. Clara knelt beside him. And she'd forgive you, she replied. Because that's what she always taught. Love never leaves, even when people do. He nodded slowly, a peaceful smile spreading across his weathered face. You've given me something I thought I'd never have again, Clara.
Family.
For a while, they sat in silence, listening to the sounds of celebration outside.
The world seemed lighter, the air softer. Nicolas turned to her.
There's something I want you to have, he said, reaching into his coat pocket. From within, he pulled a small envelope sealed with red wax. What is this? She asked, confused.
A gift, he said.
Inside are documents, your grandmother's land title. It belongs to you now. I kept it all these years, waiting for the right person to claim it. I thought I'd take it to my grave, but today,
I know it's home again.
Clara's eyes filled with tears as she held the envelope. I don't know what to say. Say you'll keep it, he replied gently. Say you'll make this place live again. The fire of purpose lit within her heart. She looked around the small apartment, then toward the open chest on the table.
I will, she promised.
I'll rebuild what was lost.
For her. For you.
Nicolas smiled, a deep, content smile that reached his eyes. Then my heart can rest easy. Outside, the first snow of the season began to fall over the red earth of Minas Gerais, a rare and beautiful sight. The bells of the church rang once more, their echoes carrying through the valley like a hymn of redemption. And as Clara leaned her head against Nicolas's shoulder, both of them knew, this Christmas wasn't just a holiday. It was a new beginning written on the pages of an old family chest. Days passed, and the once-forgotten chest became the heart of Clara's home. Each morning, she and Nicolas sat together sorting through photographs, faces long gone, yet alive again through laughter and shared memories. What began as sorrow turned into a quiet rebirth. Nicolas's health had grown fragile, but his spirit carried a lightness Clara had never seen before. He often said, sometimes we spend a lifetime searching for peace, only to find it waiting where we first began. When the new year arrived, Clara took him to the old family land, the one he had returned to her. The hills shimmered beneath the morning sun, wildflowers growing where fences once stood. Nicolas stood silently for a long time, his gaze lost in the horizon. Then he whispered, "This is where I want my story to end." Clara held his hand, tears shining in her eyes. "And where mine begins," she replied. That spring, Clara restored the farmhouse with help from neighbors and friends. Nicolas watched each nail hammered, each wall painted, as if seeing time reverse itself. When the house was finally complete, he walked its halls with trembling hands, smiling like a man who had finally come home. One evening, as the sun sank behind the mountains, Nicolas sat beneath the same tree where Vô Maria once told stories to the village children. Clara joined him there, her head resting on his shoulder. He whispered softly, "Tell our story, Clara. So no one forgets that forgiveness can bring the dead back to life." That night, under the stars of Minas Gerais, Nicolas closed his eyes in peace. His heart finally unburdened, his soul wrapped in family once more. Years later, the farmhouse thrived again, filled with warmth and the scent of baking bread. On a quiet Christmas morning, Clara opened the old chest once more. Inside lay a single new photograph, herself beside Nicolas, smiling in the sun, a note beneath it written in his careful hand. For the one who kept the circle unbroken. Clara smiled through her tears, her heart full. She closed the chest gently, whispering, "We're all home now, Vô Maria." Outside, the bells rang once more over the green hills, carrying through the valley like a promise. And in that moment, Clara knew, kindness never ends. It simply finds new hands to carry it forward. This is a story of triumph. Did the protagonist make the right decisions? If you were in this situation, what would you do? Share your opinion in the comments. We want to know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Memorable Stories and Overcoming, where inspiring stories of triumph and justice are shared daily.